Hey guys, Sabu with Embrace Variance here. I wanted to go over a hand that I played online the other day with you guys quick, just to give you an example of some of the action here on Club WPT Gold. So I'm sitting on the button here with Pocket Queens. This is an awesome game. This is a 10-20-40 straddle game. This plays very loose, very splashy. A lot of the same regs are in this game too, so I really start to get to know people and understand their game, and really start making some really cool exploits toward the back end of my sessions when I really start to get to know people and really start to do some wild stuff here. So the game again is 10-20-40, and I am on the button with Pocket Queens here. It is going to fold to the hijack here, and the hijack is a reg type player. He's pretty solid, 3 bets when he's supposed to, does most of the things he's supposed to do, and he opens it up to $1.25 here, which is the standard open. Um, sometimes you'll see some crazy players opening at like $5, or I mean, the action is just insane on this site. And if you guys aren't signed up yet, I don't know what you're doing, but the action is just incredible on here. So the hijack player, again, he's a reg. I would classify him as a solid winning player. So he opens to the standard. It's $1.25. This is a slam dunk 3-bet spot for us. In this game in particular, we're doing a ton of 3-betting with value combinations and not as much with our bluffs, just because this game is so call happy. We don't want to get in the habit of 3-betting shitty hands from the button and then getting called and going 37 ways to the flop. So we have a very value heavy range here. And then it gets back to the end of the gun and he cold calls. And this doesn't surprise me one bit. In these games, you're going to see a ton of cold calling, which just really juices up these pots for when we have these big hands like kings, queens, aces, ace king. It just makes the pot even bigger. And these guys are getting in there with such a weak range that includes suited connectors and pocket fours and, sevens and jack eight suited and God only knows what. So we're happy for the under the gun to come in at a position if he'd like to with a cold call. And then when the hijack calls as well, he's basically announcing to us that he doesn't have aces or kings. He's really, really incentivized to 4-bet the top of his range there, the ace king, the aces, the kings, because he doesn't want to go multi-weight with those hands. And then the flop comes 9-9-3 rainbow, which is amazing for us. It just couldn't get any better. So when it checks over to us, the problem with this board, there's just not a lot to get value from. So if we are going to bet, which we're going to be doing a lot of betting on this board, it's just going to have to be for a really small size. There's just no other size to use on this board. We want them to continue with hands like King 10 suited with a backdoor, Queen 10 suited with a backdoor, Ace King suited with a backdoor, any of these hands, any pocket pair. So in order to do that, we're going to have to start betting small. So we go a third here. We go 5 into 15, which is fine because the SPR is so low at this point that we're not concerned with having trouble getting all the money in by the river. It's very, very simple. The SPR is going to be set up near 1 on the turn, which is not my favorite card in the deck in the King of Hearts. It does introduce a flush draw, but more importantly, it puts an over to our queens. I'm not necessarily scared of the guy having a king. I'm more afraid of not being able to get value from hands like pocket eights or pocket tens or pocket jacks. Hands like this that just probably aren't going to call a big bet here because those hands just shrivel up in value at this point. Pocket jacks become second pair to the board, pocket tens become second pair to the board. We're losing to 9x, but if we start to implement some of our hand reading skills in this spot, we know that if he had ace king, there's at least some percentage of the time that he's going to be putting in a 4-bet. We are double blocking king queen, so sure, he could have some king jack or he could have some king 10 or hands like that, but that's only 2 hands. So we're still going to try to continue to get value from that other portion of his range. But the SPR is so low at this point that I don't think that any bet size really makes sense when we have pocket queens in this situation. So when he decides to check it over here, I actually decide to check this back for a couple different reasons here. Let's remember what our opponent's range is. His range consists of hands like eights, tens, jacks, maybe some suited broadways. So those types of hands are not going to call a bet. Our opponent is also a studied, competent player. So, with those two things in mind, we're going to give him the opportunity to bluff by checking back the turn here and showing a little bit of weakness, maybe having him think that he could steal this pot away with a hand like Queen Jack, Queen 10, a hand that doesn't have a ton of showdown value and probably starts to need to bluff the river. But he actually decides to jam here. And when he jams, a couple things are going through my mind. One, I think he's trying to polarize himself to basically saying he has a king, he has a nine, he has the nuts, or he has a bluff. Against somebody who I deem to be a fish, this would be a snap fold and they probably slow played a nine. But against a studied player, they just have such a wider range and so many more bluffs getting to this river, which makes this a snap call. He rolls over ace jack of clubs and we win.